Hello everyone, I'm genuinely glad to be here with you in today's video. Curious? Let's dive in and explore together. I just came up with an interesting idea, turning this round hook screw into a component for a homemade antenna. For now, let's set it aside. In my hand, I've got a hollow motorcycle valve, complete with its dedicated gasket and screw collar. Now I'm going to take it apart. I've prepared 2 additional metal washers. First, place the initial washer into the valve. Then fit the round hook part on top. Next, add another metal washer. Drop in the valve's dedicated gasket. And finally screw the collar in place. That completes an assembly with the valve, 2 washers, and the round hook screw. For now, I'll set it aside to work on crafting the handle. To save time, I've pre-cut a cylindrical piece of wood, 10.5 centimeters long and 3.5 centimeters in diameter. But then I realized that for a handle, such length isn't necessary, so I'll just use a 6 centimeters piece. I'm going to secure it in a vise to trim off the excess. Now I'll remove it, stand the piece of wood upright in the vise, and drill a hole right at the center of the circular end. I've drilled a hole all the way through from one end to the other. Now, I'll set it down on the table for a moment to find the electrical wire. I've just found a sufficiently long piece of wire, enough to make a homemade antenna without worrying about the size. All it takes is threading one end of the wire through the hole in the wood. I'm going to connect the wire I just threaded to the welding tip assembly. The connection is pretty straightforward, as you can see on the screen. After connecting the copper core of this end of the wire to the screw thread and securing it in the wood through the hole, I'll move on to handling the other end of the wire. For the other end of the wire, I'll attach it to a small alligator clip. Pretty straightforward, right? Let's move on to the next step. Do you see something very familiar? It's an AA battery. We just need to remove the core of the battery and use it as the welding tip. Since it's a bit dirty, I'll clean it with a paper towel to keep my hands clean. To turn it into a proper welding tip, one end needs to be sharpened by mounting it on a drill and sanding it with sandpaper. Take a moment to have a good look at this drill bit. Now, I'm going to insert it into the valve hole. So, we've completed a handheld welding tool, but it's still incomplete. I'll go on to craft a second tool. I've prepped a piece of wire with a small alligator clip on one end. What we need to do now is attach a similar alligator clip to the other end. With the second tool complete, I'm ready to test the performance of this homemade welding device. I've got a small battery here, sufficient to power the welding device. Now we'll connect the first tool to the positive terminal and the second tool to the negative terminal. I'll temporarily place a piece of wood as a support before starting the test. See that? No sparks when the two terminals touch, which means a high chance of successful welding. I'm going to start testing with 3 different items below, not just one, so you can get a clearer perspective on how effective this homemade tool is. I'll stay silent and let you assess it yourself. And as you've just seen, while the results aren't dramatically better than doing it by hand, creating a tool like this still offers a fun and valuable learning experience. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe to support me.